Hi, welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast. I'm your host, Harmony. And as you can hear, my voice is a little bit crazy today, a little funny. I'm here with Russell
You're
Case.
really not well, are you? I was not well the last time we recorded.
Yeah, we switched
and
spots.
now you're not well. That's a shame.
But we're joined today by a very beautiful and stunning practitioner, Asta Caplan. How are you, Asta?
I'm good. I hope you will feel better soon.
Yeah, I will be. No worries.
Normally, I'm sorry.
It's just an honor that you asked me to talk with you. I mean, it's been a pleasure to listen to your podcast, and you guys, you're awesome.
Oh, fantastic. Normally when I hear a name like Asta Caplan, I think, oh, she must be a member of the tribe. But Harmony tells me that you're from Finland, which I can't imagine that you have a large Jewish community in Finland.
No, we don't.
No,
really. It's absolutely minute. Well, Kaplan is not my name. It comes from the other Kaplan, Dan.
Yeah,
Dan Caplan. Dan from Japan?
Yeah. We always say Dan.
Yeah, Dan from Japan.
Oh, good old
but
Dan
really
from Japan.
America.
Did he give you his name?
Well, I took it.
Oh, you took it. Oh, that's.
I took his name when we got married, and just like I snatched him away from Japan.
You know, this is
you lured him.
a big secret. But actually, Harmony also took my name, and I no longer have a name, which is unfortunate. And she also lured me to Canada, which I've learned is like a paradise. Compared to America, it's a paradise. No one shoots each other up here.
I'm sure Germany's a paradise compared to America, too.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah, Berlin. I had the most amazing experience in Berlin. I'm so fond of it. Oh, what a wonderful city.
Are you in Berlin or Munich?
No, we're in Munich now. We kind of touched down to Germany in Berlin in 2014 when Dan got fed up with the Finnish climate.
Yeah.
Oh, did he get fed up with Finland, or was it the climate?
It was mostly the climate, really. And I can certainly sympathize.
The cold and the dark?
It's hard. Yeah, particularly the dark. That really got to him.
Yeah, the dark's hard.
Dark is hard.
What kind of is he Ashkenazi? Do you know what sort of tribe he's coming from? Is he Israeli?
I don't really know. Actually, I don't really know. Well, I mean, I know that the kind of Jewish side that comes from Lithuania.
Oh, the eastern side. Yeah, okay.
Eastern side, and that comes from his father's side of the family.
Right.
That immigrated to US a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's such a long history that he has very little kind of connection to the Jewish culture anymore. In the sense that he went to Catholic school when he was growing up. So it's like, okay, that's pretty far removed.
Right.
But the name remains, and now it seems that I have a name that nobody else on the planet has.
No.
My first name and my last name combined.
Yeah.
I'm easy to stalk, easy to find.
It does sound like a Jewess.
It's a nice name, though. It's easy to remember.
Asta Caplan. Yeah, I think
yes.
I'm right. The Jewish American princess, Long Island. Yeah, father is in the mercantile industry.
But really, she's a Finnish fairy princess.
Finnish fairy princess. That's amazing.
From the forest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just going to say, because I also have these Swedish roots that it's so dark and cold and oppressive in Canada that I feel all snuggled in.
All at home.
It's just like such a lovely experience for me. And I just wish it was darker for longer.
No.
Because I want to.
Nobody wishes that.
I do. I kind of just want to be in the darkness. Yeah.
No, I'm a midsummer baby, so no.
Oh, midsummer
Me
baby.
too. What's your birthday?
20th of June.
Oh, I'm the 21st.
She's the 21st of June.
We're almost matching.
You are matching.
Twinsies.
My goodness.
And your background considered, I was just thinking that
ballerina
sister or something.
Yeah, I think we're long lost sisters. We both grew up being ballerinas.
When were you
in the midsummer's night?
When were you born, Asta?
When?
What year?
We're getting intimate now.
82.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
My brother's age.
Yeah, that's your
I'm a
brother's
little
age.
bit older.
So probably not lost at birth then.
No.
No. All right. So 1982, can you set this up for us? 1982, you're being born into Finland, which makes you a citizen, I imagine. And
Yes.
then your parents, what are they like? Are they just very surprised to see you?
Well, my father probably was. He didn't really talk to me before I started talking.
Oh,
he do-
quiet
he's an
Finnish.
amazing man. Yeah, quite Finnish. He's an amazing man, but doesn't quite do humans. He does art history.
I
No,
read
I
that
mean,
he was he was an obsessive art historian, like a good painter should be.
oh yeah, I mean, he definitely is. He's big time. They're both artists. So they basically, I don't know. I mean, they always treated me like a small adult, so I didn't quite understand.
Wow, there are disadvantages to that. Yeah,
Are you an only child?
Yes, I'm only child, and
Yeah.
I grew up treated like an adult, so I had
Yeah.
really hard time with children.
Yeah, children
Only
must be foreign for you.
only children
Yeah.
often do. I know my son is the same. Like he gets treated much
It's
older
like,
than
what
he
about
actually
it?
is.
Yeah, so I mean, but I mean, I was born in Tampere, which is basically
Tampere.
Tampere, yeah, second biggest city in the middle of the fat part of Finland.
I know there's only it's the second biggest city. There's only like 15
Yeah,
people there. Do you know
just about.
my friend Tanya Leitinen? Tanya Leitinen.
Leitinen. I think
Tanya
I know
Leitinen.
of her, but I don't think I've
She's
ever
stung
met
you.
her.
She was a friend of mine. We were both with Petri Räisänen in New
Mhm,
York,
yeah,
and
good,
she
good friend of
was she probably wouldn't want me saying this, but she was going back and forth from Tampere to New York, and she would pole dance in New York,
mine. Yeah,
raise money cash illegally, and then go back to Finland, back and forth like that when
wow,
her tourist visa was up. And so,
enterprising.
I would think that all of you Finn Ashtangis would know each other, but actually like 60% of Finnish people practice Ashtanga yoga.
Just about. I mean, it's absolutely insane number. Helsinki has more authorized teachers than they don't know what to do with.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a real thing, that it's the largest per capita practitioners of
Yeah,
Ashtanga in the world.
it really is. Well, what else do
Okay.
you do? It's cold and dark most of the year, so I mean, okay, you
Yeah.
might just as well go and do Ashtanga. We don't really mind it as
Right.
hot.
No, it's
Yeah.
cold.
Do you think that's why? Is it just because like you kind of need an indoor thing to do and it's dark all the time, so you might as well just get
It's
up early and like go do something?
Well, that is part of it. I think I've thought about this a lot because I mean, one thing that gets you through the really dark time is that you have some really steady routine that sets your
Right.
kind of body up in the morning. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, you're just basically hibernating.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is, and the other thing is that we're pretty stubborn people in a sense. That I mean, yeah, if you set up as a say, okay, you do this, it's like, well, okay, we do this. Whether it's kind of uncomfortable, we don't really mind that much. So it kind of fits the kind of temperament of the people, I suppose. And,
Yeah.
but
It sounds like it.
helps you. It also helps you kind of in practical means to get through the winter.
Yeah, totally. And you must heat the rooms like quite a bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was never cold in Ashala when I was in Finland. Never
Yeah.
ever, because it's always warm indoors. Triple
Yeah.
shelter glaze windows and good heating.
Yeah, same like Canada. We really like we
Yeah.
would put the heat up to I don't know, like 36 degrees or something Celsius and inside the shala.
It's always warm.
So it's like a little mini tropical environment.
Well, pretty much, yeah. And I mean, I still, if I practice home, for example, I still do the same thing. Full
Yeah.
blast of heating.
I know. I love it.
Yeah,
So
it's
your parents then, they must have introduced you to Ashtanga yoga in Tampere.
no, no, they didn't.
Oh.
That
No.
that was in a way later. I mean, of course, I mean, I got my first paints as an artist like when I was 2.5. So I mean, I basically grew up just doing artsy stuff.
That's
Mm.
amazing.
Anything between sculpture and etching, whatever.
Oh.
And
How did they introduce it to you? Because I think my
I just wanted
son,
to do it.
you just wanted to do it.
You probably just
I
saw
just
them
did it.
doing it, right? And
Yeah.
then it's just natural. If your parents
Yeah.
are doing something, you do want to do it too. So
Yeah.
then you just start.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, I never thought art as a profession. It's just something you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
right.
amazing.
So, yeah, which is kind of funny. The dancing part, that was something that I kind of came up with on my own, in a sense that, I mean, I saw my first ballet performance when I was 3.5, and I said, okay, that's what I want to do.
Oh, and
Period.
I think you were fabulous at it.
Well, decently good, let's say.
I
I was
think
a better
so.
performer than technical dancer, but I mean, that was my heart and soul. And
I can see that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, previous life.
Yeah, I know,
We're-
right? It feels like a whole different person, actually.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that was what is
Yeah.
now is now.
Yeah.
Were you a dancer or a technical performer, sweetie?
um,
Kind of
I
hangs
think
together.
I think I was less technically gifted than other dancers.
What does that mean?
Same as me. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Is that because of your turnout?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like other dancers just had better technique, like they had better points and better turnout and nicer lines.
my hindrance is that I'm practically half blind. So
Oh no.
yeah, I mean, I had a cataract in one eye when I was born, so I'm
Wow.
actually rather lucky that I'm not blind.
That's amazing.
But that means that I had to work like a maniac to do any turns, because spotting
Oh yeah.
that's not terribly great. It's
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
very disorienting.
yeah, so I did huge amount of lonely work alone in the studio, extra on top of all the other training,
Yeah.
to kind of get to my 36 fuertes when I was
Oh my gosh.
graduated.
Yeah.
That's because I decided, okay, that's it. If that's what I need to do, this is what I will do.
Yeah. I think that I don't know if this resonates with you, but I always feel like the personality of like your traditional kind of like ballet dancer, that like super like perfectionist, high achiever, like triple A type personality, like gonna work so hard to like, just get the
It's insane.
right. But I feel like that really translates into the type of person that's attracted to Ashtanga yoga also.
Absolutely. I don't even care to admit how many of my former ballet colleagues are practicing Ashtanga as a therapy.
Right,
As a therapy, yeah, but actually as a
Yes.
way to pursue their obsessive compulsive disorder.
Well, yes and no.
Yes, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. Like, what do you think the difference is for you? Like, how did you find the practice kind of healing after dancing?
Yeah, and funny thing is that, I mean, this is basically how I landed practicing Ashtanga. Partly because, yeah, that's basically yoga in Finland. It's Ashtanga. That was just kind of obvious. But I started practicing when I was 16. So I started really early because my one of my ballet teachers was an absolutely amazing person, like just radiating, like just incredible person. When she steps into the room, you can't watch anyone else.
But also
amazing.
that sense of cruelty that you need.
No,
Maybe she was a nice one.
she actually was. She's still alive, but she was pretty old at the time. But she was this person who basically made all her students blossom to the best what they were. They're basically a teacher with capital T in that sense. Like, you can achieve greatness even in classical ballet without beating people up and torturing their souls. So what she did with me, she was coaching me to a ballet competition. She said, "Yeah, the dancing is fine. That's okay. But 3 things you need to learn. You need to learn to breathe. You need to find your grounding, and you need to find your own space in your head and your heart."
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that says a lot about her as a teacher.
Find your breathing, find the grounding, and align your head and your heart.
Yeah, basically find your own self in your mind and in your heart.
Wow.
Practice yoga.
Yeah.
And here I am, 24 years later, I'm still practicing.
Yeah.
But and okay, as a coaching that worked. I won the competition.
Yeah, amazing.
but as a bigger gift, she really set me up, and to the point where I had my dancing went out of the window, and I'm basically just, I don't know, just completely broken as a person.
Yeah.
the yoga practice was there, and that was kind of my back door back into me and into the practice. So
Yeah.
in that sense, Ashtanga has always. This sounds really weird with all the talk about obsessiveness and Ashtanga being hard and whatnot.
Yeah.
To me, it's always been like basically the most natural and healing space for myself. So for me, it's genuinely a happy place.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
beautiful.
No, for
Yeah.
me, it was just the place where I encountered my true self, which was the most frightened little child. So it was always
That's true.
terrifying for me, just to even to the moment I woke up to understand that I was going to have to do an Ashtanga yoga practice was absolutely terrifying.
But there must have been a time that you were excited to do it, because you wouldn't have kept doing it for so long.
No, you'd think that, wouldn't you? Yeah, the
Yeah.
two of you would think, why would you do that? No. I can think of maybe no, I can't really think, maybe like 3 or 4 times where I looked forward to doing it in the 30 years that I did Ashtanga yoga.
I remember when I started, I would practice like at 9 a.m. And that's actually still my ideal time to practice yoga. Because I would just
nowadays I start after 10, so
yeah, I'd get up at like a sensible time. I'd like do some things, and then I'd go to my yoga class on my way to university, and my classes would start like afternoon. And so it was such a like nice little routine. And then I would be up quite late because I was in university at the time studying, but I remember that feeling of like it really like having such a good day after that. Like it really changed sort of how I felt in my
Oh, sure,
body and in
yeah.
my mind.
It's always good to be done with it.
No, it was refreshing.
To have it in the rear view mirror and
And
to
then
have
like
like
sometimes I'd stop and get
20
like a smoothie or something.
Yeah, I like eating. I don't have a problem with food. No, but the notion of no. What did you say you said to do some stuff and then do a yoga practice? By the stuff you mean like little stretches and stuff.
No, not at that time. At that time, when I first started, I wasn't like obsessed with asana or like getting anywhere with it.
No.
I was just practicing because it felt good and was something to like kind of like you say, like connect the mind and the heart. And so when I would do stuff, I'd like putter around the house. I'd like do stuff to prepare for my school or like, you know.
I thought you meant like
whatever you
work on your piriformis before
No,
doing
nothing
yoga.
like that. I just
Yeah.
walk in cold.
The little like pre-practice routine?
Yeah.
That's what I do now.
Yeah.
I don't do
You
Ashtanga
just
yoga.
do the pre-practice
I do the
routine.
pre-practice routine. I like that a lot. I really like that. It's not Ashtanga yoga.
It's like,
but I love that.
it's
I'll
like
do that
yin
for hours.
yoga.
I'll do that for hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Asta? Did you end up developing like a whole pre-practice routine, or were you like one of the people that could just go in cold and like do it?
Well, I've never been able to do anything like totally cold, but I mean, I've tried to basically kind of detach from like developing like really like basically being stuck with the routine that I must do anything. The thing is, I don't have to do anything. If I feel like something is stuck, okay, I might do something at home before I hop on my bicycle and go to a shala, fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm not really that attached to it. And if I need to warm up more, I do more Shri Namaskaras. I try to keep it simple.
Yeah.
That's pretty boring, really.
Yeah, but your practice is like from another planet, my dear.
Oh, I'm just really curious. I mean, I suppose I'm missing some filter or something. I just never believe that something is impossible.
That's
Like,
beautiful.
my theory about this is something that was meant to be done by humans.
Yeah.
Who
No.
probably weren't completely perfect. I'm a human. I'll at least give it a try. If I fail, I try again.
Yeah. Yeah, but you have like, I mean, of course there's some innate like genetic predisposition, and also like you trained your body from a young age
For a long time. I
Yeah.
was just thinking about that when I was kind of answering some of the kind of, how did you end up here for
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that I started training. First, I started with rhythmic gymnastics when I was 6.
Yeah.
So I did my first drop backs when I was 6. I don't
Yeah.
remember how you learn them.
Yeah.
So it's just something I never stopped doing stuff. And
Yeah.
that's why I suppose I assume that, well, if I just try this long enough, maybe it will work.
Yeah. And
Not
there's
20
sort of
years. I don't care.
Yeah, there's like an innate sort of I think belief in your ability to do something when you've trained your body for so long in different ways
Yeah,
that
and at the same time, I'm comfort loving enough nowadays that I never do anything if it's painful.
Yeah, that's good.
In the sense that, I mean, with the full respect to like, okay, well, if it's intense, that's fine, but if it's painful, no, stop.
Yeah.
I've got traffic lights for that in the sense that, I mean, never have respect for my body. I have just one of it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you always like that, or was that something that's growing?
I think I've gotten better at it. That's the one thing in the dance world. I have been on stage with local anesthetics on my foot, so that's not
Yeah.
something to do.
No.
I've
Yeah.
been on stage with fever. I've done
Wow.
all the stupid things, but I mean, since it's not yoga is not a performing art, I don't have to do it.
Yes, exactly.
So since I'm practicing for myself and it's not a performance, if I'm in pain, if I am not well, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's such a like reasonable approach.
Yeah, well, I try to be sane partly because I mean I kind of have to. The reason why I'm not dancing anymore, that's painful enough that
Yeah.
if I overdo anything beyond what's kind of reasonable, I mean I pay a really high price for it in terms of pain.
It's interesting. If I had stopped doing Ashtanga yoga when it was painful, I would have stopped in 1992.
Oh.
That's when I would have stopped.
When you started?
Just about when I started. Yeah. But I have to say, it took a long time for me to distinguish between stretching and pain. That was
that's a skill. That's something that I certainly got from my training as a dancer because you do such a huge amount of stretching endlessly. Basically, I did all my maths homework with side splits.
Yeah.
So like you learn to distinguish between what I said, like, okay, there's intensity and there's pain. Those are two different things.
Yeah. That yeah, and that is a skill actually, like being able to understand like, oh, this is a stretching sensation and it's a little intense, but it's bearable and it's not doing harm, and to have that confidence that it's okay. Versus like, ooh, that's not a good sensation.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. Something is now seriously tearing. Not a good thing.
Yeah, or like pinching or crunching, or I mean, there's all kinds of things.
Overall, getting in order.
Yeah.
It was a mess of sensations. Certainly, it was all of those things all happening. Like, what is this? Yeah. Why am I doing this? Why?
That's something that I sometimes kind of wish I had the experience of, like the memory of like how did it feel when I first started something, because it's such a long time ago. I just simply, like I said, I dropped back at 6 years old. I have no idea.
Just stop practicing for like a year, Asta, and start again. You'll feel it all over again. It'll all come back to you.
To a point, it certainly was exotic to kind of relearn drop backs, for example, after an abdominal surgery. That was fascinating.
Yeah. So, can you tell us a little bit about that? Was that was pretty major surgery?
Yeah, it was a fairly major surgery. This is a kind of rare kind of problem where the intestines just kind of got loose where it should have been.
Oh, like a hernia.
A kind of internal hernia.
Yeah, wow.
Usually happens with women only. So it's almost like, okay, men have hernias kind of in the groin area fairly often. That's more common than one would think.
Yeah.
Women hardly ever have that, but I mean, then there's this small percentage of women who have the kind of internal situation where everything just starts swimming.
Wow.
Not great. So it took a while before anyone kind of figured out what was going on, because of course, I mean, digestion, everything was kind of just uncomfortable, let's say, and all that.
Really? Yeah.
So that
were you
took
getting
a while.
like pain and stuff? Like,
Not so much pain, but it's really, really irregular, like digestion and just discomfort with eating and whatnot. So
Right.
that wasn't fun.
Yeah.
How old were you?
This was in 2006, so this is like a while ago. I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you'd stopped dancing by now?
Yeah, I had stopped dancing like few years, like 3 years previously. I stopped
Yeah.
dancing in 2003, and then basically 3 years later, like, okay, well, something is going on with my tummy.
But
Right.
there's a whole story with you stopping dancing and losing your health.
Yeah.
I'd like to learn about that, but let's talk about the surgery for just a moment
Surgery. I'm
and then
such a
go back to
collection of
that.
spare parts.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's some bad things have happened and I want to make sure we touch on all of them.
Yeah, great. Yeah, well, like I mean, my joke about it really is that okay, I'm a collection of spare parts. I have a mesh in my tummy.
Well, that's
Well,
what they
basically,
did. They went in and like
yeah,
inserted the mesh.
basically they made 5 cuts in my tummy and put the
Wow.
mesh in, and kind of it's still there. I can still feel that in Paripurna Machandriyasana.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like whenever I dig the heel in there and do a
Yeah.
deep twist, it's like, ugh, that feels kind of
Yeah.
yucky. But I mean, that's
My
the only one where I feel it.
my
Yeah.
friend Noah also has that from a hernia, and he said the same thing. He still feels it. He'll feels
Yeah,
it
it's
in Gandha Bunadasana. He'll feel it.
there. I don't feel it there. I just feel it when, like, if there's a heel kind of digging into the tummy and I'm twisting, then it's like, ugh.
Do you
Mm.
But
ever worry about it? Does you ever feel like maybe that's not the right thing?
well, if it doesn't get any weirder than it is now, then I mean, if it does get stranger than it feels currently, then I worry. But I mean, for time being, it seems to be fine.
Good. Okay.
But I mean, but as for from the practice point of view, I mean, the first year after the surgery, like, okay, well, this is interesting. First of all, the doctor said, "Oh yeah, 3 weeks, and you can do whatever you like." It's like, maybe not.
Yeah.
He didn't quite know what he was talking about, but so it took a couple of years to really like get from the operating table back to where I kind of, let's say, air quotes, started from.
Right. And at that time, like, were you practicing advanced series
Yeah, I was kind of somewhere
in there?
halfway, somewhere there, kind of.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He was like, "Oh, just get back to your regular routine."
Yeah,
You're
that
like,
was like,
maybe not."
no. Well, yeah, what did I do then? Because I was like, that doesn't sound right. I'm barely walking. So I called up a physiotherapist who was also teaching our physiology classes in the ballet school, and said like, hey, who knew me from since I was 14, that hey, what should I do? You know me. I've just had like tummy cut open, and I have a mesh here. Like, and the doctor gave me advice that isn't really terribly realistic. What should I do? You're like, yeah, just take it really slow, just one month
Yeah.
at a time. See how it works. In a year, you should be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So then you just like built the practice up like posture by posture again?
Pretty much, yeah. So I've started over a few times.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think it's kind of natural, life happens and you have to like
Life happens. That was one thing. Then a few years later, I mean, I lifted the suitcase badly. I broke 3 discs in my back. So like,
oh
okay,
my
well,
God.
here we go again. 9 months
Yeah.
of rebuilding.
Well, before we
Wow.
rebuild your back, I wonder. I think it's really fascinating. Your parents are both painters, and they sound
One ceramist, one painter.
one ceramicist, one painter, and they sound like very kind of interesting bohemian and people, idiosyncratic to a
Hmm.
degree, and they're admiring their beautiful young daughter who's a ballerina and a little
And
princess
an
and
artist.
an artist. And at a certain point, you decided, I think, to stop ballet, and maybe we could figure out why. And then you decided to enter art school, and then your body completely failed you. So I wonder if you could tell us that, set us up, and tell us that whole story. And
That
why
whole
would you
story.
even stop ballet in the first place?
Well, that is the thing. I mean, since I left basically my parents' home when I was 14 to pursue ballet because that's
Wow.
all I wanted to do since I was 3.5.
Yeah.
There wasn't much holding me back. It's like, okay, well, that that crazy person just wants to do this. Of
Yeah.
course, I mean, as with ballet, I mean, even if you really, really want it, you might not get there simply because you're just not somehow built for it. I was
Yeah.
lucky enough to have insanely open hips to begin with, so that was kind of okay.
Yeah.
And then I just worked really hard.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, it really was. I left home when I was 14, and basically, my father, I saw his diary later that he was kind of sorry for it in the sense that he was worried that I would never do art again.
Oh,
Well,
interesting.
yeah, so because I mean, he kind of was okay with, he knew as an artist that if I want to do ballet, I need to do it early.
Right.
But where
Yeah.
he really kind of was hoping me to go was visual arts.
Yeah.
Well, here I am now. But anyway, so I left that. And I mean, I basically, that's all I wanted to do at the time. And that was my life from 14 till 23.
And you went and lived at the ballet school and took classes there?
Well, basically, that in the how it works with the Finnish National Ballet School, it's not an internship. So I basically took care of my own household when I was 14.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's basically living on my own, taking care of my regular school and ballet school, and that's it. So basically, no teenage rebellion, so to say.
No, that
Time.
was it.
There's
Not
no
much
time
time.
for
That was
that.
it. Like, okay,
Yeah.
my rebellion was like, okay, guys, I leave home now. Like, okay.
Wow.
But anyway, the history of me quitting ballet, I was dancing actually in Germany at the time.
Uh-huh.
So this is my second time around in Germany, which is kind of funny. Was that I still remember that was a warm-up class before a performance. Suddenly I felt this kind of really eerie pain suddenly hitting my left leg, knee down, and my right calf.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is not right. This is something really, really weird. It was this burning pain that come from inside, almost like somebody was just tearing like burning knives through the bones.
Yeah.
It's really, really weird. And that started spreading.
Yeah.
And no explanation. I wasn't hurt.
Right.
It was like, it's just pain that was just kind of climbing up my left side of the body. And eventually it was from neck down, the whole left side, and right leg basically knee down. So at least my right arm was working and my right leg was kind of okay to step on.
Wow. So it's like that left shoulder, left back down
basically
into the right. That like fascia line.
Yeah, basically everything. And it was just so painful that on the most days before, like, I mean, too long, I was just mostly just lying down on my back at home, crying, thinking that I really need to get on my feet at some point to get some food, but I just can't think of it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Just absolutely horrendous pain. And that went on for months. Like, I mean, that was, when it first started, that started in, I think it was in February or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then summer came. I was still hired by the theater. I was on sick leave because I just couldn't do anything really, because it was just, everything was just super painful. I went to a physiotherapy center in Freiburg, which is in southern Germany, for 5 weeks. They would try to kind of figure out what's going on. I went to MRI and whatnot. It's like, this is just really bizarre. There's nothing physically wrong with you, but you're obviously in pain.
Yeah. You're like,
so
yeah. Obviously.
Am I going crazy? Because I know what pain is. I'm usually pretty good at dealing with minor complaints, but this is just something else.
Yeah.
And come July, I mean, I just came to one doctor then basically said to me that, okay, legally I can't tell you to change professions. Like, I can't tell you to quit your work, but this isn't looking good.
Right.
We can't tell you what's wrong, but you're just like in such a situation, we just can't help you. I'm like, okay, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But by that time I had been in like just burning pain for half a year with no ease really from anything. I just didn't quite. The only thing that helped was that, I mean, I was in ice cold bath basically.
Right.
It's just like lying in ice water. Like, okay, well, this helps a bit for a time.
Good.
So then I just basically I turned that. That was of course a bit of a shocker that somebody just seriously looks at you in the eye and say that okay, legally I can't tell you to do something
Yeah.
else, but I would say do something else.
Right.
God.
And this is something that I basically left my family over, and just that's been my life. I grew up doing this.
Yeah.
Well, eventually I just thought that, okay, well, I mean, obviously I really can't, I'm not reliably able to perform. If I can't run, I can't jump. Currently, I can't even walk better than someone who is in their 90s.
Right.
Maybe it's not such a bad idea not to rely my livelihood on something that's so precarious. So yeah, I just called home to my parents, said, listen, guys, I mean, I've decided that, okay, this is it. I'm
Yeah.
coming home. Well, they basically they rallied over like basically the rescue team. They came and basically collected me and pieces of me from Germany back to Finland.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty much.
They folded
that
you
was
up in a suitcase and brought you back.
practically, yes, because at that point I was like, I'm hurting. I can't do anything. Can you guys just pack up for me? So I mean, they just came
Wow.
over and just picked me up, which was
Yeah.
I'm just incredibly grateful. And then they basically did the next thing. The best thing they could think of is that they said that, well, I mean, what else? What are you going to do? Like, well, it was pretty obvious choice. From dance, I went to arts.
Yeah.
That's it. It was kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But the problem was that at that point, the transition, the first art school I went to, that happened within a couple of months from me saying that, okay, I'm not going to dance. That was just, let's say, psychologically a bit too fast.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I just basically went from one to the other, no thinking in terms of no time to process it. The end result was that I just basically went straight into just basically working around the clock on pictures and reading art and whatnot, and forgot that, oh, hey, I'm here.
Right.
I
Yeah.
need to eat. I
Right.
need to stay alive. But at that point, I didn't really care. I was in full, basically, just hatred relationship with the body that was just basically a mess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Were you
So
still in
basically-
pain, or did the pain go away?
Yeah. That took a couple of years, and it's still there, kind of what I call my background radiation. I've been in pain for the last, basically ever since 2004.
Wow. Yeah.
But with the yoga practice and all that, that's been the best medicine for it. It's the best thing I can do. So that's another reason for me to practice.
Yeah, totally.
But basically, I managed to get myself to hospital for 3 months for refeeding.
Yes.
Refeeding.
Yeah, because I mean, I was 35 kilos when I went to hospital.
Oh my God. I mean, you're not that
I'm not
big a person anyway.
I'm not that big a person anyway, but nevertheless, that's not a good place to be in.
No.
How many pounds
So-
is
It's like
that?
70 pounds.
Oh, that's quite small.
It's like a small
That's-
child.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
It's
mean,
like
okay,
a
I'm not
10-year-old.
that tall, but still, yeah.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a good place to be in. So that's basically the time when basically, I mean, okay, I'm sitting in hospital, getting bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
Because I hated being there, but I basically sought help because I was like, I need to sort this out because I mean I'm just a mess.
Did your parents intervene, or was it all from you? Was it something inside of you?
It was me. I just saw myself in a mirror one day. I just suddenly realized that, hey, I'm actually killing myself slowly. This is not good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because I love life too much to do that really consciously. That was just pure crisis reaction in that sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. Those were the exact words that I heard when I was like sort of at the height of my anorexia, bulimia, and dancing. And it was like, you're killing yourself. If you continue, you will die.
Yeah.
And
because
it was like,
it's a real,
shit.
so it's like, oh, I need to do something about this. So I basically, I contacted with the help of my mother then, I contacted the hospital and said that, okay, guys, I mean, no matter what, I'm going to camp in your hallway or something, but I need help.
Oh, that's so good.
I mean,
that's so courageous.
Yeah, not the easiest thing to do, but that was basically because I realized that I was too far down to really get myself sorted because, of course, that level of just malnutrition, I mean, it messes your brain.
Yeah,
and your nervous system.
nervous system, everything. You need
Yeah.
really serious support to kind of get out of there.
It's a kind of manic period in response to maybe like a lack of direction.
Yeah, I mean, just total, and I mean, also just really physical hatred to a body that it just felt like such a deep betrayal that I worked my skin off my back to do this. And now
your body
it's
betrayed you.
My body, yeah, basically that was it.
And so that's just a big, middle, 2 fingers up or a middle finger up to the body. I'm not going to feed you. How do you like that?
Very much. Like, okay, well, I mean, if you're not going to work for me, I'm not going to work for you either. Basically. Like, okay, well, too bad. I'm not interested. So, but I mean, then basically, I mean, what besides the hospital's help, thank you for them. But the yoga practice was then basically the one that basically helped me make peace with it.
Yeah.
And how were you discovering yoga at this point? Because it seemed like you have a lot going on in your life. I don't understand how you could have found space for a hobby.
She had yoga already going on.
Yeah,
there's a lot to do, though.
Yeah. It was basically just, I mean, I felt like, okay, since my problem of maintaining myself alive is a problem of me loving my body as a being enough, I need to reconnect there. I need to make it one.
Yeah.
Not to think that, okay, I'm just a head that does something and then a body that I'm just kicking away as hard as I can. I need to bring these two things together. So again, I need to get my mind and my heart to reconnect.
I love that.
So that
I love
basically
that you bring
got
this
me
up.
back on the mat. Yeah.
Just because it was something that I had just talked about recently in a different podcast that I was interviewed for, and it was that, like, when as a dancer, your body is your tool, and so it's really like an object. It's not something that you're like intimately taking care of. It's something that you're trying to manipulate in various ways to do certain things for you, to look a certain way.
Right. Yeah.
And so you really like are objectifying your body, and you feel quite separate from it in many ways. And I think that's why, like, eating disorders and,
and
a lot
everything
of
else,
self-harm and all the things go along
well,
with
include
it.
like I said, like, you go on stage with anesthetics on your foot. It's like, not my foot if it's hurting. It's like, that's not terribly healthy, is it?
Yeah, and it's kind of like a lot of athletes have that same mentality, I think, like professional athletes, their body is like a tool for them. So they're just going to like put the cortisone in the injury and like get back out there, right?
Out there. Yeah.
It's very similar with dancing, but with yoga, it was like the one kind of practice that really like connected me to my body as like a part of myself and something that was like to be nurtured and like a temple. Like, it had all these beautiful kind of reconnections.
Yeah, it was really basically, and it is still a daily practice for me of like just showing kindness and presence to myself that, hey, I'm there as a whole.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest reasons for me to practice. Besides the fact that it then turned, because I mean, at that point, I was just so much in pain that I just couldn't handle taking, for example, walks out of the question. My old love of just running in the woods, not possible.
Right.
What else is there? Well, hey, wait a second. Ashtanga yoga, you can do it on a piece of rubber. It's something that it's basically contained. It's not too surprising. You can do it as softly or as hard as you feel okay with.
Yeah.
So how about I try that? And besides, I mean, as it turns out, now there's been a lot of research on like how to deal with the fibromyalgia, which I then got diagnosed like 2 years later when my mother got her diagnosis.
Wow. Yeah.
So it runs in families. So it's kind of something that I inherited from 3 generations back. And it typically kind of flares up after in your 20s. So textbook case in that sense. You have no idea whether it actually kind of sneaks up around the corner and says, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, that could explain that pain, right?
Yeah, that kind of explained the pain. But it turns out that yoga practice is one of the best things you can do because it stimulates the nervous system just enough, but not too much. There's no hard impact if you choose not to have any.
Yeah.
It's a regular routine that basically, if you live like a cuckoo clock, your body is pretty happy.
Right.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Can
Works
I
for a
just ask,
singer too.
yeah.
if I could just ask a question, because
Yeah.
it's a little, I'm not going to say triggering, it's too strong of a word, but it's certainly, for me, uh, your experience with dance and objectifying the body resonates for me with the experience that I had with Ashtanga yoga,
Mm-hmm.
which yoga practice had always kind of been internal, and there was an emotional experience to it, and then there was a seeking, a kind of um, physiological experimentation with tantra, which is, using the body to experience subtle sensations of that could be transcended. Until I get into the classroom with, full of young ladies, and a teacher who is there to assess your ability. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this is a stage. This is a performative space for a young man, say. And so especially in Mysore, where it seemed the stakes were so high, where you could get money
Mm-hmm.
based on how many accolades you received from the teacher, which is to say postures and authorizations and things. So that stage was a place where I would go and I would take any measure possible to perform. If it, muscle
Mm-hmm.
relaxants, ibuprofen, any sort of thing that I needed to do so that I could be ready to perform at 4:30 in the morning. I get on the mat, I'm there, and people are watching, and everyone's watching. So
And no
how do
one's
you
watching.
but everyone's watching, is so, because they make it very clear to you after class, is like, oh, you really do that well. Like, Kino walks up to you, it's like, can you teach me how you do that pike in your vinyasa? It's like, sure, I can teach you. Can you help me with Karndavasana? She would say, so like everyone's watching, right? So um how did the two of you avoid that pitfall? Because you were so vulnerable to that objectification of the body in dance, how did you avoid it in this theater of the absurd, the Ashtanga Mysore? Mm.
I suppose I'm just super naive. I've just never cared less if somebody's watching or not.
Yeah, I
It,
think that's like a
yeah, I don't
really
know.
good point.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've never felt any sort of pressure or awareness of performativeness when I'm on my mat. I mean, I could
Hmm.
do my practice in the middle of the street, whether there's 5,000 people walking by, I don't care.
Yeah.
If I don't know, and I suppose that kind of made the 4:30 group in Mysore relatively easy for me. I just get roll out my mat and I just do my thing. If somebody notices, if a teacher is watching, it doesn't really change anything. I'm probably my hardest critic anyway.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Yeah.
and that's I suppose what I thought. I mean, okay, I had a little moment of eek. I can't possibly do that when I did my first ever led intermediate class in my life, and that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
on Patabi Joyce's tour in Helsinki.
Yeah.
Petri actually, he was like, Asta, come here, and smack in the middle of the front row, right in front of Gorge's chair,
You know what? I think I was
right next
just
next to Petri.
I
I
think
like
I was just to your
right,
left, actually, because I
quite
was front
possibly.
row right in front of Guruji. That's my spot on the
Okay,
Helsinki
it must
tour.
have been must have
I
been.
think we were right. I thought I'd recognized you. I think we were right next to each other.
Must have been. That was my first ever led intermediate in my life.
And
Yeah.
we only went up to Nakrasana, if you remember.
Yeah, I think that was because I mean the first day on that tour. I mean that was a legendary time when Patapijo started stopping people in standing postures. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Right.
and I'm in the front row next to Petri, and you obviously
Because
know. I know.
Petri and I were
Yeah,
next to each other. Yeah.
yeah. And Petri was like, "Oh, to come here." It's like, huh? But then I thought
Yeah.
that okay, it doesn't really, to me, that doesn't really change anything because the fact is that the teacher probably sees way more about my practice anyway than I can ever think.
Yeah.
So I do what I do. If he wants to say something, he says something. If he doesn't like something, he will tell me that too. And no matter what I do, that doesn't change anything really.
Yeah.
I can just do my practice and just enjoy it. Really,
You know,
it's what I've done most of the time.
It's
it's interesting because I think, people always think, oh, if you did dance or gymnastics, it makes yoga easier. And I mean, maybe to a certain extent, your muscles have some like memory of stretching or something.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, something, but it's a completely different thing, really.
Very different. But maybe in some ways it can make that like, because you're used to also like a teacher watching you do stuff
Yeah.
all the time.
Painfully so, to the point
Pain-
that, okay, we film the class once a week and then we pick it into
Pick it apart. Yeah.
pick it apart and they're like, look at your foot. It's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, right.
You're not even trying.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think like because you're used to that, it's not you don't have self-consciousness about that so much.
No.
And also like nobody could be as critical or as cruel as like the dance teacher, the ballet
That's true.
mistress.
Yeah. Yeah, you were saying something about terrifying teachers. It's like, yes, I know how that is.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, you're terrified. You do anything so that you're kind of like, I don't care to count the times I've cried in the class.
Right? And then also like how many times I drove home like bawling, sobbing. So terrible. And then but then also like for me, one of the things that was very comforting about yoga versus ballet is not having the mirror there, because like you say, I mean, I'm my worst critic. Nobody could be crueler to myself than myself.
No, it's really hard to do, really.
And if you don't have the mirror, something happens where you go in and you feel it inside rather than looking for that external visual cue. And that was transformative for me.
To me too, and that was kind of like my experience of Ashtanga, why I felt at home with it right away, because in some ways, methodically speaking, your classical training as a dancer is very similar. You just proceed like progress one thing after another and you just repeat endlessly things. But it's almost like you still speak the same language of method of learning, but you change the subject. You turn the aspect around.
Yeah.
From within. Like, I mean, your reasons to do it are completely opposite.
Yeah, and also that feeling is so different because you're having to go in to feel it.
Yeah, and that felt deeply healing, and it still does.
Yeah. And I think that ability to like turn the mind in and just feel things inside, it also, like you're saying, kind of prevents you from like thinking about anyone or anything else. You're just like really absorbed in the moment to moment sensation of what's happening right now inside yourself.
And it's a really amazing feeling. It just opens something that I've somehow described the feeling on that. It's almost like your sensation of every moment is bigger from inside than outside.
Yeah.
Everything just kind of radiates through, and it's an incredible space to be in. It's kind of the same feeling I get when I'm painting. It's like, it's just that third space that's kind of, it's happening, and yet you don't have to make decisions. It's just kind of transmitting.
Yeah. That's really when painting is at its
best.
It's most wonderful is when the painting
it's also awful.
But when the painting starts to make itself, and you're just there watching the painting make itself, is really quite beautiful. It's the most beautiful.
And to me, that's what I mean. I can't really separate my work when I'm working in the studio as an artist and what's happening in my yoga practice. To me, it's kind of all the same.
Right.
Amazing.
I suppose that's kind of what I'm saying. What I mean when I say that I'm pretty boring. I do everything the same way.
I understand.
You're just like constantly, okay, it's time to connect to flow. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Doors open. I'm here.
Yeah,
pretty much.
The flow is a kind of emptiness, a kind of separation, like kaivalya, of just observing.
And there, I'm just trying not to get too much in the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally, right? I love that.
Yeah.
No body, no time, no personality.
That's what it becomes really frustrating, is when the material says, I don't want to be anything. I don't want to do
Yeah.
anything, and there will be no movement today. And it's like, oh
Yeah.
God damn it! I did everything the same. I
And
had
yet it's different.
it's different. And whether it's painting or the body, the material says no, not today, mate. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
God
Then it's
damn
okay.
it.
Well, let's just be humble. It's okay. Let's see. They're on the day because, of course, I mean, yeah, particularly well, I mean, sometimes the painting, that too, the panic of the canvas sometimes strikes again, but also on the mat. I mean, it's not always fun. There, I'm just kind of trying to comfort myself. That, okay, well, if nothing else, I'm making the next practice a bit more comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I know that by practicing today, tomorrow will be easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've thought that when I'm having a really bad practice, when I used to practice Ashtanga yoga, I would have a really bad one. I thought, well, tomorrow will be better. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're basically in my books, I'm trying very much to think that there is no such thing as a bad practice. Any practice is good practice. I'm quoting David Swenson.
Yeah.
White man.
Nancy Gilgoff would say the same
Yeah.
thing as well. Like even
Yeah.
if you can only do 40%, you're building for tomorrow. Yeah.
And like I often think about that too. Sort of, when even like a little bit of what you're doing is something that you normally, or like if you didn't practice yoga, or if you were just like your average everyday person, would not do, right? Like even just inhaling, lifting your arms up, and exhaling, folding forward. Like how many people do that don't practice yoga every day?
Not that many. Yeah.
No, right?
To me, like, I mean, I keep saying that in the shala, like, well, I mean, you already made it on the mat. You're already winning, right? You did the hardest thing. You showed up.
Yeah.
So then what happened to you? You were picking up a suitcase and your body fell apart. You just like collapsed on you.
Yeah, well, dangerous things happen when you're in deep snow with two heavy suitcases and trying to help your husband to recover from hernia operation.
Oh my
Oh, it
gosh.
was Dan's fault. Yeah, that makes that.
Oh yeah, let's blame him. No, yeah, that was just basically one of those things that, okay, life happens. I was at the time, I mean, I was basically, I was basically in a residency for painting, I mean, preparing for an art show and whatnot. And Dan got a hernia in India. So basically we organized him to fly back to Helsinki.
Yeah.
And he got operation, but then basically he couldn't really like stay home alone, and me just going in the middle of nowhere to this residency and him staying home right after operation. So I carried everything. I had an absolutely massive backpack, huge suitcase for two people, because he's not allowed to lift anything heavier than a kilo. So it's like, okay, well, Asta is lifting everything. And this is in midwinter. And I'm trying to get out of an old style train that's not like opening directly to the platform, but there's like a big drop and there's like half a meter of snow. So just basically really bad lifting. My back made a really horrible sound, and I was like, that didn't sound good.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, indeed. But I mean, I wasn't quite sure how bad that was. And okay, I get on my mat the next morning. I'm like, yeah, this kind of really hurts.
Yeah.
Like I'm bending forwards. Okay, this hurts. Bending backwards. Oh, this hurts too. Ow.
Everything hurts.
Oh, everything hurts. Well, I go and see a physiotherapist, and he's like, oh, okay, you're just a bit cramped up and all that. I mean, can you kind of bend forward to touch the floor with your fingers? Like, yeah, no problem. Elbows on the floor. Like, yeah, I can still move, but it hurts.
Yeah, exactly.
So it took quite a while before I could see an orthopedist, and they took an MRI, and even the orthopedist was like, well, yeah, bend forwards. Like, yes, I can still bend forwards. Fine. Can you bend backwards? Yeah, a little bit. Fine. But I mean, it all hurts all the time. This is like 8 weeks into the pain.
Yeah.
They took an MRI, and they were like, right, there's 3 discs that are not that happy. They're like bulging and doing all sorts of interesting things in there. Like, I'm still kind of I can still move, but it hurts like hell. Excuse me.
Yeah. So I wondered if it was all right to curse around you, because you are Finnish.
Well, I
The
usually
worst sort of curses I've heard from the Finns, but I get the feeling that you're not
Worst
comfortable
curses.
with it, so I've been
I'm
avoiding
I'm kind of
curse.
funny in that sense. I'm an odd
Yeah,
Finn. I don't drink, I don't curse much, and I'm just
yeah,
overall a bit
She's
strange.
very
that
sadvic.
is a bit funny for a
If you want
Finn.
to do 4th series, you have to be sadvic.
I don't know what you
Yeah,
have to do.
or I'm boring, but no,
Also another word for sadvic.
possibly. No, I mean, Dan says often he doesn't dare to think what would happen if I were ever drunk.
You'd probably just fall asleep.
Probably is. I sleep like a rock. I mean, you can stamp on me and I step on me and I don't wake up. But yeah. So anyway, so I mean, finally, okay, MRI, okay, 3 discs all over the place. Well, okay, well, a lot of physiotherapy, 9 months of basically first 4 months I couldn't do really anything. I walked and I lie down because sitting down wasn't an option.
Right, I know that
Yes.
feeling.
Yeah, it's like just no. I mean, I was sitting on a chair, like one leg sticking out. Like, okay, yeah, I pretend that I'm sitting.
Oh my
So
gosh.
not great,
No.
but just slowly. I had a really good physiotherapist who had herself been through like this problem. So she basically just said to me that, okay, now do nothing more than I allow you to do.
Right.
You just stick to what I tell you. Be patient, allow it enough time, and then just basically
Yeah.
sort out your technique with everything.
Yeah.
Well, the end result was okay. It took 9 months, and then basically rebuilding the whole practice again, second or third time,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But end result is that I mean my back has never been happier.
That's great.
good.
What did she get you to do? She get you doing like some shalabasanas or?
Yeah, basically just a lot of stabilizing exercises, just basically, and a lot of attention to what I do with my psoas, a lot of
Yeah.
attention to my hip flexors, and just overall stabilizing and just making sure that whatever I do with back bending and such is that it's really, really well aligned.
Yes.
And that it's
Yes.
never painful.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
In that sense, like, I mean, yeah, I get really good warning signs that whatever I do with my back bending, yeah, it's always comfortable. Because,
That's
I mean,
good.
otherwise, it's basically, I just re-trigger the whole disc problem again.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember
In
when
that
that
sense,
when that changed for me too, and it was really like cutting my back bend right back to like little bridge, working
Yeah.
on the alignment of the feet, strengthening the legs, strengthening the
Yeah.
core,
Right.
and then
But you-
learning how to like
Do your little pinky toe.
do the little grounding
thing.
through the big toe,
Yeah.
learning to
Oh,
like, yep. And then
Yeah, and using basically slowly, gradually, and working through everything, and basically sharing the load of all the. I mean, I
Yeah.
dearly love backbending, but basically sharing the load with everything.
Yes.
Your
I
five
mean,
I'm lucky
basketball
I have
players.
crazy
Yes.
shoulders, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
basically just really kind of looking at it as like, okay, it's not just the L4, L5, it's everything.
Yeah. Just because that part can bend doesn't mean that it should be the
that
only
it's-
part bending.
Exactly.
If
So in
that's
that
the
sense,
only part bending, bad idea.
Bad idea, really bad idea. In that sense, I'm actually rather grateful for that injury because I mean, it taught me a heck of a lot, and I do think that when I'm a lot safer teaching other people now through that injury for sure.
Yeah, totally.
So in that sense, I
Makes
mean,
you
it's the
a better
in that
teacher.
sense, yeah, it's definitely in that sense, it's the best thing that.
Yeah, the best thing that happened.
Yeah, best thing that ever. I broke my back. Good.
It's recovered.
Speaking
It's
of
recovered,
the
yeah.
best things that ever happened to you, you said the loveliest thing about Dan. I really liked this. You said the love of your life, and I just want to know what does that feel like? So
What does that feel like?
how do you know that? How do you feel it? It must have been very disturbing to have something like that happen to you. You're going along in
Well,
your
How
life,
did you meet?
and then
let's put
suddenly,
it.
what happened to you? What is that?
Well, that it's kind of one of those only movie stories, really, because I mean, it's such an unlikely story that we got together. He was living in Japan at the time,
Yeah.
and he was traveling, surprise, surprise, for yoga. So be careful what you pick up in a yoga class. It might be your husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
But
skin disease. Yeah.
yeah, or possibly that too. But I mean, it was just by a pure chance because I mean, we met in Lina Mele's workshop like in 2004.
Lino Mia. Yeah.
Lina Mele, yeah.
Where was he teaching, in Finland?
He was teaching in Finland, and this is basically his summer retreat that he did for a long time. Not anymore, but he did that for a long time. And this small island in the middle of nowhere between Finland and Sweden.
Yeah.
No, it's nice.
We arrived probably within 10 minutes of each other, including our best man in our wedding, to this workshop.
Who is that?
That was he was practicing yoga back then. He's just basically he made friends with Dan like 10 minutes before he met me.
What was his name?
Mikko.
Mikko.
Just like every second male in Finland is called Mikko.
Okay.
But anyway, really wonderful man. But anyway, so we met there. We could have hung out together during that workshop and so forth. We made friends basically.
Yeah.
But then after the workshop, I mean, we met on the last day that Dan was in Finland for breakfast with a group of people. And then basically from that breakfast, somehow Dan and I, we just ended up walking and talking for the rest of the day.
Oh, that's so nice.
We just kind of continued from there. We basically hung out by the seaside and just talked.
Yeah.
And then we were kind of painfully aware that, okay, you're flying out to Tokyo tomorrow and all that. We just exchanged addresses and phone numbers. Yeah. Very old-fashioned. And and at that point, it was just, okay, this is just crazy. But I mean, it was clear that, okay, this is a person where you just have the feeling that I've known this person all my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to explain what I mean. And funny thing is that we're both pretty... I like talking like now I'm talking to you guys as like one-to-one.
Yeah.
But I'm actually a bit of a hermit when it comes to crowds and things. I hate parties.
Yeah.
I like people, but I hate crowds. And Dan is very much the same.
Yeah, you're both a little introverted.
Yeah, basically. But it was kind of clear to both of us, which wasn't said in so many words, that, okay, this is a person I just simply need to have a connection to in this life, one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, I ended up writing letters to him.
Yeah.
He sent a postcard or two.
Yeah.
And he called me on Christmas Eve from somewhere where he was. So we were pen pals for a couple of years.
That's amazing.
We then met. Yeah, really funny. Until we then met in that same Gurji's World Tour where you saw me in the second series class for the first time. On the first morning we met, he had planned to stay with Mikko, this best man of ours.
Yeah.
But then basically Mikko said that, well, if you're not going to stay with her, I'm going to kick you out.
Nice.
So basically from that first morning, he basically moved his suitcase to my place.
Yeah.
And we basically have been together ever since.
Wow.
And so that must have been very disturbing for you to have such
It
a very...
was kind of surprising, mostly. Not
your life is kind of probably quite contained and everything is in the right place.
And
now it's all just up in the air.
All over in the air in a sense that, I mean, I have now obviously a partner who is living across the planet.
Yeah, he's still living in Japan, right?
He's still living in Japan. He can't just drop it. He's teaching a Mysore class over there. I'm in art university trying to do a master's.
Yeah.
I know myself well enough that I'm not going to drop my master's for anything.
No, of course not.
Well, actually, the way I put it to him is like, well, you will have a really grumpy girlfriend if I drop my master's now.
Yeah, of course.
I need to do my thing. Otherwise, I just can't deal with myself. I mean, I just can't deal with it. So it was clear that, okay, I'm going to finish university. He does what he does. We basically flew
back and forth
around a lot.
Yeah.
So a lot of air miles. And I also, art universities are wonderful. If you have a good enough a project, you can do it. So I basically got myself to Japan for my third year in university.
Oh, great.
To study traditional Japanese art. So
you guys have that in common.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I studied sumie, the ink painting, the traditional painting, and I studied archery of all things.
Sure,
So I
that's
did Zen.
excellent art.
Yeah, so I did Zen archery, basically
Mm.
Kudo
Amazing.
there. Yeah, so that's basically what I did there. That was gratifying because I could spend basically a year with Dan in Tokyo and I could continue my studies. And then I had just basically a couple of years left doing my master's. So that kind of worked. But then one morning in 2009, Dan just calls me up again and says that, hey, I've decided I'm going to move to Finland.
Great.
I decided I'm
Alright.
going
Tampere,
to Finland.
Tampere is lovely. Mm.
Yeah, okay. So, okay. Oh, you're right. Okay, well, so then I basically spent one summer packing his stuff in Japan.
Wow.
And he moved to Finland in 2009.
Yeah.
We were still so I suppose, air quotes, dating at the time.
Yeah,
Dating.
But
going
then,
back at 5 years of
but
long
yeah,
distance.
but a long time. We're basically doing this slow. I mean, just taking forever. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's fine. We're together. Great.
Yeah.
I mean, works for both of us.
Could I just stop you for just a moment? Because I really want to. You're so insightful about your body, and I just wanted to ask you: can you describe how it changed this thing, falling in love? Did you find that it changed your body? That it changed your emotional self, your emotional sheath? Did you see that there were changes in the kind of thoughts that you had?
In a sense, yes, that I found it easier to accept myself as I am, since there's someone who obviously does. Like, it kind of helped me to not hate my physical being,
Amazing.
which of course, I mean, it's still kind of like one of my trigger things. I mean, I don't think that's going to go anywhere, but it definitely has. He's been my greatest support in terms of being okay, being me, because he's just incredible in terms of just taking me unconditionally as I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm
That's
not the
beautiful.
easiest person to be around. I'm horribly stubborn. And I first need to say no to everything before I say yes.
That's good. You have good
I need
boundaries.
yeah, basically in a sense that, yeah, just let me think about it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's a healthy response to decisions.
I'm
Yeah,
glad you
I
think
think
so,
so. I
sweetie.
mean, yeah, well, yeah, so I mean, it's been absolutely wonderful and enriching experience to be able to open my very stubborn only child mind to him and allow him so close to me, because that definitely surprised me that somebody could kind of almost to the back door
Yeah.
get so close to me, because that's not an easy thing to do. I run a mile if somebody tries to flirt with me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the long distance was good. It
That
warmed
what
you
it
up.
was, but yeah, basically we were best friends to each other first, and it like basically just a deep, really deep companionship that no matter what happens, this person needs to be in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically it. And then, well, like, he does know how to treat a girl. He did propose to me in Venice with full moon and all that. So yeah, he's a romantic.
Yeah.
I was far too shy to do anything so public.
When
Yeah. Well, to be fair, he had a flu at the time, but I mean,
he had
anyway,
a
he
flu.
made a brave effort.
That will do it. It's
Poor
interesting
man.
because Harmony and I both, we were both steeped in yoga when we fell in love, and we both were also kind of studying brain science at the time, kind of, as a casually
As a
and
hobby.
as a well for our
That's a hobby, as one does.
work, it was
Yeah.
informing our teaching. And
Yeah.
we were kind of very much aware of the physiological and hormonal changes at the endocrine level. And we would
Mm.
just kind of look it up and describe it. And it's like, this is a lot like being on cocaine. This whole experience that we're having
Well, it is
we're just
crazy.
flooded with
Kind of,
dopamine and
yeah.
serotonin, and it's
Yeah.
changing our appetite. It's changing the thoughts
Yeah.
that we're having. We were absolutely obsessed with communicating with each other. We had to know that person was just on the other end of our phone. you know,
Yeah.
30 seconds,
Well,
45 seconds
Sky-
goes by and you're like, where is she? You know,
yeah,
I
well,
need to know.
Skype at the time took a lot of patience.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It was like a different era.
Yeah.
Yes, it really, I mean, communicating in that state across planet took some patience.
Yeah. Big time. Big
Yeah.
time.
So that was interesting. But I mean, we managed, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. I mean, it's been 18 years, and it feels like just as amazing as it was back then. I don't
Exactly.
know.
Incredible. Oh, that's so good.
It must be that he's kind of the right person for me. It seems
Yeah.
like.
But
I
that's the
think
thing,
so.
isn't it? When someone says a phrase like, that was the love of my life, I would not have really truly understood the depth of that experience until I had met Harmony.
Yeah.
And because it is something that is so human, but I think it's actually, I think people tend to just fall into relationships. And occasionally this happens where you become totally obsessed with someone who is the right person, and
Yeah.
and nothing can change it. Nothing moves
Yeah.
it. It's like suddenly a pillar of your life.
Yeah, I think to me it's been a lot of the fact that, I mean, before meeting him, I mean, I've spent a lot of my life on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind it. I was perfectly happy as I was, but then there's
Right.
this one person who's like, I just need him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just a lot more with him than without him.
Mhm.
And one thing that I think has been really important for us to kind of deal with it with each other, because of course, I mean, any relationship sometimes it's irritating, but is that we never take each other for granted. I get the feeling that we're still equally grateful for the fact that, hey, you're still there.
You have each other.
That for the time, I mean, it just feels still that the time that we have together is just so precious that, I mean, why waste it for doubt?
That's so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like 12 years of darkness. Or it was probably longer than that. It was like, 30 years of darkness, and just it was then suddenly a sense of pervading contentment. And like, oh, this feels quite a bit different, and I would recommend it to people, but I don't think you can make it happen. I don't think you can.
No, you
I don't think
can't
you
really.
can. You can go out and say, I am going to meet Mr. Right. I am going to fall in love completely obsessively, and it's going to be. I'm going to wait for it. I don't think you can. I don't even know
No,
how you'd go about doing it.
No, you can't really. That's why, I mean, kind of like I said, I mean, only in movies, because I mean, our kind of
Right.
starting point was kind of insane. We're living one in Helsinki, one in Tokyo. How likely it is, first of all, us to meet? Well, okay, Ashtanga is the combining feature here.
Yeah.
Like, that helps.
Yeah.
But then also, we are 18 years apart. He's noticeably older than I am.
Yeah.
Noticeably?
I forgot about that. I forgot how old Dan was.
He's 18 years older than I am.
Jesus Christ.
But that was never an issue. No, I mean, that was never an issue. Even well, of course, my father was a bit worried about it. But
it's the same age as your father. Yeah.
No, he's not.
Not quite. But I mean, one thing that I have to say to the credit of my obsessive father is that he's also one person who I respect greatly for the fact that he can make a total U-turn if he thinks that he was wrong.
Ah, amazing.
So he was basically like really upset about the whole Dan thing.
Right.
But when
he's
he
like,
met,
why are you dating an old man?
Yeah, but the moment he met Dan, not a word. My both parents, they love him. I mean,
of course.
But
he's
I mean, so in that
beautiful
sense,
human being.
Good credit for my father being able to let go of anything he doesn't consider. He's able to make kind of reassess the situation the moment it seems reasonable.
Yeah.
And the practice keeps you young. It keeps you like,
Well, that was basically what Dan said when he met me. He was like, because I mean, at the time also, he thought that kind of hard to tell how old is she.
Right.
Then he thought that, well, okay, she was a dancer. They kind of look young. She also practices yoga. They kind of look young.
Yeah.
Maybe she just looks double young because of that.
Right, yeah. But no, she's actually double young.
I actually was
Huh.
quite young when I met him.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Yeah. No. Harmony's father still believes that I'm homosexual.
Oh.
So does that happen for you, for your father? Did he think?
No.
No.
No,
That's
that
just
didn't.
us.
That didn't.
No. Okay.
What was your first trip to Mysore?
Ridiculously late, and I mean, me and India, health-wise, we don't really get along. But I mean, my first trip,
I think we met.
yeah, we definitely did meet in Mysore. I think I'm just trying to remember.
Well, we were
I
there
think
for
that was
that
in
training.
2007.
Yeah, in
that was. I was
2014, but that was quite a bit
14.
later.
Yeah, that was quite a bit later. I think
Probably
I was there for
2007 we did meet
I
for
think.
sure, because
Yeah,
I spent
yeah,
almost a year
I
there in
think.
2007.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And that was
reason
with
why
Dan. You were there with Dan, right?
yes,
Yeah.
he's been my the person who carries me to hospital.
Yeah,
Nice.
because I met Dan on my first trip in 2004. I remember him very distinctly.
Yeah, Dan went a lot before me overall. I mean, I got kind of the princess treatment going to Mysore in the sense that I'm kind of
Right.
tagging
Yeah.
along with someone who
Yeah.
That can
knows
be.
everything in and out.
That
Yeah.
can be quite nice.
So
yeah.
in
Knows
that
all the
sense, it
old
was easy.
students.
Yes, so I mean, I kind of just got through I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. I've gotten through to Ashtanga through all back doors anyway. So like,
Yeah.
don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone.
Yes, like shh, big secret.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it was, of course, I mean, to me, it was a really great experience in the sense that, I mean, I love practicing in the shala, and I don't know, I mean, Short has been just unreasonably nice to me always.
Yeah, that's nice. You
So,
you had already finished fourth series though by that time in Finland, no?
no, actually, I was kind of working my way through.
Almost finished.
Almost finished. I actually, I
Finish.
finished. Yeah, well, I definitely finished third series, and I think I was working my way through fourth at the time.
So what was it like for you, your first trip there? When did you have to just do primary? Did you get into intermediate?
That was the funny thing. I assumed that I would just basically do primary for the 5 weeks for the time I was there.
Yeah.
But I think I ended up doing primary. Like I arrived, like I think it was on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I ended up doing the rest of the week. I did primary, and then the next Monday I did. Sharp said, "Okay, you let intermediate." It's like, okay. So I do let the intermediate through. So it's like, I mean, I'm there like 6 days, and I'm doing
oh my God.
intermediate through.
You'd done it on tour though, so he knew you could do it.
Yeah, he'd seen me. So, and a funny thing is that he calls me number 8, Ashta, because he doesn't quite get Asta right.
Ashta.
Like,
That's right.
Kind of close enough.
That's like Guruji used to call me harmonium.
Harmonium.
Yeah.
Harmonium.
Harmonium and number 8.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask, do you remember in that lead class in Helsinki when Sharat did a Karandavasana demo? He said they kind
vaguely, yeah.
That was my mat.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I actually, now that you say that, yeah, I do remember.
Yeah. Okay.
Back when Sharat
Just
would demo.
With demo and all
I
that.
was,
It was
I was
overall,
not doing it correctly. He stopped.
Oh.
He did it on my
yeah,
own.
no, I remember.
Yeah.
I have no idea what was supposedly incorrect. I don't know.
Right. My
I'm sure it was fabulous.
You know how when you go down, your shoulders can get close to the ground?
Yeah.
They should not be. They should be kind of perpendicular.
90 degrees.
90 degrees. But for that to happen, you must have no legs. You can have no substance to your legs and butt
whatsoever.
at all. Otherwise, so.
It's just not, in this universe of physics, not possible.
In this universe of physics, not possible,
yeah.
All right, so I'm sorry to interrupt about that.
Which
we were
is
talking
about the only limitation I agree to. Is like, okay, if that looks like physics is kind of against that, it's like, nah, maybe not.
Yeah, for sure.
But did you ever find that frustrating to go to Mysore and not to be able to do the full practice that you were used to doing?
Not really. I didn't. Since I kind of rebuilt the practice quite a few times already, it's like, okay, well, let's see. I mean, I do what you do. I mean, it's like, okay,
right.
Whatever the teacher says, I'll do. I mean, it's
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Well,
It's not really about the asana, collecting asanas, it sounds like.
No, I mean it's really not in that sense. I mean, I had a discussion about that with David Swenson, like because I mean he's been wonderful to my practice, really, and just basically like you do what you do. But I mean,
Yeah.
the way he said it to me, like, yeah, just think of it less as a choreography and more as calligraphy.
Calligraphy.
oh, that's a wonderful sentence.
That Yes,
Yeah.
I love that, and it's in that sense, like, I mean, movement is movement. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a space for me to connect to the yoga, really.
Yeah.
Movement is
Asana is a
movement.
tool,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
And
I don't really mind.
That's
if you're doing
beautiful.
calligraphy of a 3-letter word versus a 7-letter word, what
The
difference
word,
does it make? You're
yeah,
just
it's
making beautiful lines.
yeah. So
That's
I
so
don't
lovely.
really mind. I mean, to me, I love all parts of the practice equally, and so in that sense, I mean, 4th year is primary. I just
Yeah.
I do what you
Same.
ask me to do. Yeah, same.
Did you ever feel like, because I know a lot of people feel like this, like, oh, I'm gonna lose my advanced asanas if I just do primary or I just do intermediate. Did you ever feel like concerned about that?
There, I'm kind of like, I suppose I'm going back to my kind of feelings of terror of quitting dancing in a sense that, yes, I'm fully aware that there are things that are going to be eventually passed at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I know that, yeah, some asanas take more maintenance than others, and that's okay. If I know that I just for some reason can't do a asana X for a while, I know that, okay, if I want to get to the point where it's comfortable and easy, yeah, I know how to take my medicine. I know how to get back in there.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So basically, I no fuss and no drama.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. It's just like
But
you know how to train to work your way
yeah,
up to being able to do that, whether it's strength or flexibility or
flexibility or whatever. And I also know that, okay, if I'm asking something, let's say relatively extreme,
yeah.
it takes a lot of work regardless of what sort of physique you have.
Yeah.
So if I'm not putting in the effort of maintaining a situation where it's relatively easy, I mean, yeah, I know what it takes to get back in there.
Yeah.
And who knows? I mean, what do I do when I'm 80?
Yeah. Yeah, it might not be that important for you to get back in there.
Probably not. Probably not.
You should just
You
be
know.
watching Jeopardy and The Price is Right. That's what you should be doing. It's mostly
Family Feud
Family Feud is
and
good.
Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune is excellent for 80. Yeah. Yeah. I want to ask you. You said you had a really funny story of coincidence, and I wanted to ask you this. If this is not a terrible segue, about we just interviewed Michael Skabor just a couple days ago. I think I pronounced his name somewhat right, and Michael was in Germany, and I think. He is a South African, and you said you had a number of different sort of coincidental experiences with him, and he ended up, did he lend the shala to you, and then you then gave it to my friend Eleanor Burke? How did it all go?
How did it all go? Well, basically, long story short is that we were living in Berlin in Germany. I mean, we escaped the horrible everlasting winter from Finland to Berlin. Everybody laughing, like
escaping
what?
Stalingrad to Berlin.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, what? And I mean, everybody laughed at us when we said that, okay, we escaped the weather in Finland to Berlin. It's like, Berlin isn't exactly known for great weather. But anyway, it's a huge improvement. So basically, it's kind of really odd chain of coincidences, because I mean, when we were in Berlin, Dan ended up teaching workshops in Cape Town and in Johannesburg. So South Africa pops up. And the Jivamukti Shala people were also teaching in Cape Town, and they saw Dan's poster. And they found out that Dan was in Berlin. So they actually contacted Dan that, hey, we would like to have a Ashtanga Mysore class in our Jivamukti school. Would you come and start it? Well, Dan was basically not terribly keen on starting a Mysore class or whatnot. So what he did is like, well, I'm not, but my wife could.
Oh.
Right.
Well, that's kind of
So
him.
yeah, kind of him. Like, okay, instead of one Kaplan, they get the other. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
So okay,
He's
well,
like, she's
okay,
younger and has more energy.
yeah, she can do
Yeah.
it. It's like, okay, sure. Well, so I mean, I started there basically under their roof from scratch. First morning, oh wow, I have 5 students, great. So, but I mean, I ended up teaching there for a couple of years, and at the time, I believe Michael was still teaching in Munich, all happily and all that. But then basically,
Yeah, I visited
2000
him there and taught a workshop, I think. But it might have been just
Oh, you should
before
come
you
back
came to
here.
Berlin.
You should come
Yeah,
back
you
and
should
stay
come back
there.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, Berlin
But
is
anyway,
amazing. Yeah.
yeah. And so anyway, so in basically Michael decided at some point that he wanted to move on.
Yeah.
And so the Asta Caplan in Munich kind of was left orphaned in air quotes. So
Yeah.
basically, but they had a pretty motivated group, and one of the ladies who was kind of running the kind of administration of the group was basically just bringing in teachers in a row. Like 1 month somebody was teaching,
Right.
next 2 months somebody else is teaching, and Dan ended up taking over for a couple of months in the beginning of 2017.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, and I was teaching in Berlin like a maniac. So, okay, well, yeah, can't leave one shell empty when the other person is teaching in different cities. So we're kind of 2 months apart and both teaching.
You're again doing the long distance relationship.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of practice for that. So
Yes.
practice is always coming. You know how to do that.
No problem.
But no problem. We know how to do this. But the people here in Munich, they really liked him. Not surprising. He has amazing adjustments. He's one of the few people who I really like adjusting me. So like, yeah,
Wow.
I'm there in good hands.
Yeah.
But Dan said that, yeah, but the thing is that Asta is teaching in Munich and the day off is different. You have a day off on Saturday. She has, no, I mean, they had the day off on Sunday. I had the day off on Saturday. So this is kind of problematic.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Dan comes back. It's also clear that Munich is pretty expensive. So yeah, one yoga teacher salary, not enough just for 2 people.
Right.
Just not possible.
Yeah.
But a couple of months go by and things are still kind of up in the air here in Munich. But Dan had been looking for a new job in his day job as a patent law person,
Right.
patent attorney. And Munich is full of patent law because of the European Patent Office.
Oh.
And basically, one of the yoga studio owners knows the company president of one patent law office, and says that says to Dan that just go and talk to these guys. That how would the job market in this field be in Munich and so forth.
Yeah.
Dan comes to Munich, meets the people. 2 minutes later, he's hired.
As a patent attorney? I'm
that's
really...
what he did in Japan.
Oh, he did that?
Yeah.
I'm totally lost the thread. I thought he was a yoga teacher.
No, he was in Japan doing other things. He just started a Mysore program for fun.
Oh,
yeah, pretty much.
Why isn't Dan in the? We should be interviewing
Dan's
Dan
hiding.
as well.
We'll interview him another time.
Yeah, talk to him.
All right.
Anyway,
it's a patent attorney.
God. Yeah,
that's what makes the money, not the yoga.
Japan Dan, the yoga teacher, is a patent.
No, that's what he was doing when I met him.
He's a scientist.
Yeah.
He's a scientist after all.
Yeah, and he was translating, I think, a lot of Japanese into English.
He was translating a lot and all that. So, but anyway, so he got a job here.
Bizarre.
Yeah, he got a job, a real job.
Yeah, he calls me up from Munich. Hey, I think we're moving. I got a job. It's like, right. So
amazing.
Now I have same situation in Berlin where like, okay, I have my class here. They are orphaned now. So for the whole summer, we're trying to stay quiet so that not everyone panics until I find someone to take over.
Students panic,
right. Yeah, so I'm just like trying not to tell anyone that, hey, actually we're moving.
Right.
But then Eleanor, out of the blue, Eleanor Burke just shows up in Berlin saying that, hey, I'm kind of looking into moving back to Berlin.
Whoa.
To teach and so forth.
Honestly, I thought she had been in Berlin the entire time.
Yeah, she had been in London and, well, her story to tell. But anyway, so she comes in. yeah, she's been everywhere, but I mean, she comes to Berlin, we meet up, and I said, "Hey, Eleanor, since you're looking into teaching, like, how about I have a group that needs a teacher?
Yeah.
Would you?"
Would you like to take it?
Yeah, she did. So then basically, end result is that we just do this kind of lightning fast move to Munich.
Yeah.
On September 1st in 2017, I'm teaching in Berlin. September 2nd, I'm teaching in Munich.
Amazing.
And here I am.
Wow.
I then basically ended up taking the program into my own hands as an like independent, not under a studio roof in the beginning of 2019. It's just nicer when Ashtanga is Ashtanga and not. I don't have to fight for the lead class time every week.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
You can make your own rules.
Yeah. It's easier.
Yeah, that's amazing. But I want to know a little bit too about, because you're a professional artist. So I think you make a lot of money doing art and selling art and painting.
On and
well,
off,
I mean, maybe a lot is an exaggeration.
I mean, in comparison to your husband. Thank you very much, Harmony. I know what you mean.
Well, it's the thing about visual arts, selling paintings and things. It's very irregular,
right?
In a sense that it could be 30,000 euros in a weekend, and it could be nothing for the next half year. So, in that sense, it's actually a rather nice balance,
right?
Also, in a sense that being a painter is a pretty lonely job. You never talk to anyone.
No, that's the idea. That's the joy of the work, is not having to talk to anyone.
Yes.
You don't have to manage a stage crew or a production team. You don't have to go into...
until you have to go to a press conference, which is
No,
my
I
terror for next week.
I don't do that.
Oh, you get to go to a press conference?
I don't do that. No, I just stay in my room and no one talks to me or bothers me.
Notepad, take some tips.
I close the door on purpose.
Tell us about this press conference and what's going on. Do you have a show coming up?
Well, I have 3 shows coming up this summer overlapping.
Oh,
so that's kind of crazy.
That's amazing.
Like two art centers and a gallery show at the same time. So it's like, whoa.
And are they in Munich or in other places?
No, they are in Finland. So I'm flying next Monday to say hi to my home country. First time in 3 years.
Nice. Nice. Amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's... I find it works pretty well because, I mean, I kind of live my morning life in the yoga world, and then I just cycle over to my painting studio, and I'm a hermit. So that works really well for me.
Yeah, that's so nice. And so you'll get up. What's your day like? You get up, you do your practice, you teach, or do you teach and then do your practice?
I teach and I do my practice for the simple reason that otherwise I would never see Dan.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it may have come through the microphone, but the door just closed. He just came home. So basically, how the day works is that I get up at 4. I kind of putter about the house, just like you said earlier, and then basically I cycle over to the shala. I do a mini warm up, few sun salutations, and just check that I'm okay. I teach a 4-hour Mysore class from 6 to 10. And then I hop on my own mat. Thankfully, the shala basically allows me to practice afterwards.
Nice.
So there's kind of space where I can practice. And then around noon, I hop on my bicycle and continue to my painting studio, which is kind of across town.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of core of Munich, so it's not that far. It's like 25-minute bicycle ride from home. And I do whatever my studio work kind of requires, what I have kind of brain energy for, and then I come home and cook.
Amazing.
Wow.
And then it's dinner time.
Then it's dinner time. Yeah. And that's basically my third life as a kitchen adventurer. I love cooking, so it's kind of where I relax. I just enjoy the nurturing quality of it.
And that's another thing that really can't be taught, I think, is...
You guys have that in common,
yeah,
too.
because when I cook, I relax, I get into the flow of it. I'm thinking constantly about efficiency of movement and time.
timing. I love the interweaving things in the
Right.
process. It's fantastic.
And then it becomes a kind of a selflessness where I lose self-consciousness, and it's all about a flow of movement. And then
Yeah, that's so.
I'm either prepping, cooking, preparing, cleaning, and then it's
Yeah.
all presented. And for Harmony, it's quite different. And it seems like the moment she starts cooking, her displeasure sets in.
And grows.
Oh, no.
And it grows and grows and grows throughout the experience until finally she is a sweating, angry mess.
I don't even want to eat at the end
And
because I'm
she's
so annoyed.
so irritated. And it's like, Harmony, this is a nice time. Cooking.
It's like too much pizza.
I would prefer to cook just so that she doesn't have to experience this. And so often I do cook because otherwise she's just going to be in a bad mood. And it's like, I'll cook and I'll be very happy at the end. It's like, oh, that was quite nice.
I'm always really happy when I cook. I mean, it's also like fun way to travel around the world because I mean, I suppose I'm a picky eater, just like my father, who is also a really good cook. That's basically like, I mean, I got used to the idea that, okay, that's actually a nice thing to do. And I mean, then if you're a picky eater, I mean, you get to eat good food if you know how to make it.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's just, and since I've been cooking since I was 14, I've just had a long time to practice.
That's great. I like to eat the good food.
Well, I mean, that's something you have in common with Dan. He's a very appreciative audience, and he
Yeah.
supplies me with good books.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Are you vegan? Do you eat fish? What's your diet like?
I've been vegetarian since I was 14. Basically, the moment I walked out of my family home, I became a vegetarian. You don't want me. You wouldn't want to see me try to eat. I just never liked meat or fish. It's a mess if I try to eat any. So
I can't imagine living in Finland and not eating fish. It's incredible.
Yeah, I'm an accidental vegan in a sense that, I mean, I don't handle dairy terribly well. So, I mean, a lot of the time when I don't really deny anything that I kind of like eating or can eat.
Yeah.
But, I mean, most of the time I cook vegan just because my system is a lot happier. I mean, that way. So, I mean, I can handle like aged cheeses. So I basically have a lactose thing.
Yeah, me too.
Aged cheeses or something.
I can only eat aged cheese.
Yeah, like older and harder it is, the better.
But I can eat a lot of it.
That's also how
Jesus
Harmony describes me to her friends, that he is older and harder than any other relationship that she's ever had.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, but basically, I mean, my principle, I think, I mean, what do you eat? Food.
Yeah. But it is interesting because I think, like, I mean, and you would have, I think, more insight into this even than I would, because I feel like you've done, advanced asana, advanced series for so long, and like built your practice back up into this advanced series like so many times.
Many times, yes.
Yeah, and so what's your experience? I mean, because I always say to people, like, if you want to do advanced asanas, you have to like have your life so regulated. You have to sleep properly. You have to know exactly what to eat, when to eat. You have to just like have everything really structured in your life so that you can do this very advanced acrobatic contortionist kind of thing in the morning.
Yeah.
But that sounds like how she does like to live her life.
Yeah, no, but I'd love just to hear your insight about it.
Yeah, it's basically kind of, I think, I mean, well, first of all, I do enjoy certain sort of kind of like regularity of the routine, simply because, I mean, it's just how I know that my body likes to work. I mean, anyone's, I suppose, if you ask more from it.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, out of sheer curiosity that, okay, what is it all that I can do with as an artist or on the yoga mat or whatever it is? I need to nurture the vessel I'm in,
Mm.
which means that I need to sleep enough because otherwise I'm a crying mess and I know it. I'm terrible to be around. I just get really, really miserable if I'm not sleeping enough. So that's the reason why I moved my practice to after teaching, because it was
Right.
like, otherwise I'm cutting my sleep from both ends. Not working.
Not working.
If I'm too hungry, I can't make good decisions. I'm just scatterbrained like anyone. I can't focus. So, okay, well, eat regularly when you're hungry and not 2 hours later.
Yeah.
I know how to kind of fuel myself in comfortable way so that my energy level stays stable enough that I can think clearly and be nice about it.
Yeah.
So I suppose it just basically, I mean, I've never felt like that's a restriction. To me, it's a liberation.
Right. Yeah.
Really, because it
Freedom
allows
from
me
pain.
to freedom from pain, freedom from like not being able to do what I want. Because I mean, I'm stubborn. I want everything now.
Yeah.
So I better serve the vessel I live in, because otherwise, I mean, I can't fulfill my curiosity.
Yeah. I love that.
I'm just the endless researcher, I suppose, in that sense. That I mean, I'm just curious. Like, okay, what is it? If I find something I can't do, I just try to figure out how.
Yeah.
I'm just delighted if I find a conundrum, I want to figure it out.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, I love all these like interconnections and like this weaving together of the state of cooking and art and yoga practice and
Yeah, to me it's kind of all one. I don't know, it's kind of, I suppose, yoking everything together.
As you said, I think there's Asta and then there's Asta and flow, and that's kind of what you're seeking, is just like, oh, I want to be Asta and flow, so what can I have to do to make sure that happens?
Yeah, because there I feel like I'm fulfilling my place in this funny universe that's a lot bigger and older than me. It knows what it does.
Yeah.
What is it the best I can bring in it? And I suppose that's what I'm trying to do as an artist too, is like, I mean, one of the reasons why my paintings look the way they do is that I'm a seeker of beauty in everything. The professor in the art academy, when she was talking with me and she found out that I'm a ballerina from my previous life, now I understand why your paintings look the way they do. You're basically just obsessed with that perfection of beauty, and when you see that, you just can't help but to dig deeper in it.
Yeah.
And just try to show that marvelous sparkle on the universe to everyone in my humble efforts of making pictures. And the yoga practice to me is kind of the same motivator in some ways, is that it's just so awesome that I just can't help but to be curious.
I can totally see that. I think you just radiate this like beauty, like no joke, like that Finnish fairy princess.
Finnish fairy
That's
princess.
what it's just like perfection. It's this beautiful little package.
The forest people. That was certainly like, having studied with Petri for many years, that was always my impression. But certainly that carried to other Finns that I've met in my life. It's like, oh, they're just forest people.
Yeah, well, because I mean, that's where you grow up. I mean, it's basically, I mean, it is a sacred space still. And I mean, that's why, I mean, I love the fact that here, I mean, nature, the rivers and the trees and the mountains there. And mountains are kind of exotic to me, but the trees, I mean, I just can't help but love the trees.
Well, I just want to thank you for sharing your time with us. I know that it must be quite disturbing to your schedule, but I just want to thank you. I am having an emergency with the small dog, so I'm going to leave you to your second interview, because I know you want to do a second interview.
Harmony, our bonus for
your
our
bonus
Inner
interview.
Circle members only.
But again, it's been a real pleasure to meet you. I feel like.
It's been awesome
to
meet you.
That we haven't actually met, even though we've been practicing next to each other for decades. And so
you guys have to come to Munich.
Yeah, it'd be really nice.
And you're reopening your yoga school in Munich coming up, or did you already do it?
We've been able to be back in the Shala for just about a year now.
Yeah,
which has been awesome. We were, of course, online and whatnot, but I mean, I've been able to teach throughout the whole pandemic, either online or in person. And I mean, lovely thing is that, I mean, we've been back in the real space for a year now almost. We were able to return in last June.
Oh,
So
amazing.
that's been great.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
wonderful.
okay, online is one thing. It's given us all opportunities and kept
Yeah.
teaching alive and all that, but it
Yeah.
never is the same as the
Yeah,
real
in
space.
person's pretty special, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Well, if
Really
people
is.
are in Munich, how can they find you?
They can find me with basically our website is theashtangaspirit.com.
Okay. Great.
And as said, you can also just find directly me, Asta Caplan. I mean, there's no one else with the same name, so I'm easy to find.
Yeah. And they can see all your beautiful art too, I think, on your personal website, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
true. And that's astacaplan.com. That's the art. The Ashtanga Spirit is the yoga. I'm trying not to be too schizophrenic about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good. And they
Yeah.
should also follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, well, I'm there, I
Asta
suppose,
Caplan,
keeping
right?
my Asta Caplan. And there's also an Asta Spirit Munich
Instagram.
account as
Yeah.
well.
Beautiful.
So yeah,
Yeah.
visual diary and yoga stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I love following you because it's just brings brightness to my day. Such beautiful, whether it's asana or art or your drawings, your little diary, your pictorial diary that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's so
You're just
wonderful.
all too kind. It's
No.
just well, keeping an eye on you too. I mean, you're just one of a kind.
Oh, well, thank you. And thanks so much for coming on today.
Of course.